slow down and respect this process and understand that the process and the journey is building you into that person that you need to be to get to where you want to be. If you are not doing the work along the way, you can get to that end point, but I promise you won't be happy, and I promise you won't be able to keep it. I'm stepping on toys, hitting tables with my belly. It's a lot going on. Hi guys, I'm done venting. I'm done complaining. For my bevy of the day, I am drinking the raspberry rose poppy. It's my favorite flavor. But this beautiful glass, if you've seen any of my pictures on Instagram or the reel that I posted over on TikTok, these are from my baby shower. They're plastic. And this is one that I kept in the house, and I figured as the last episode of season 10, I wanted to have a really pretty special glass that obviously matches the vibes, you know what I mean? Make sure to let me know in the comments what your bevy of the day is. You know, this is a really transitional time for me because this is the last episode of the season, and the next time you guys see me in this setting, I will be a mommy of 2. I was just reflecting on all the lessons we talked about this year, the growth that has happened, the things that I expected to happen that did not happen, but also the amazing things that happened that I didn't expect to happen, right? And so often we can get to the end of a year, a quarter, a time period where we had this idea of what it would be, and we're quick to focus on like what went wrong or the things we didn't accomplish, how far we expect to be, and if we are not there. And sometimes we don't take the time to look at what are the changes that we did make though. And maybe some of the things you learned took you more time than you expected. And maybe some of the things that happened were unexpected. You know, a big goal for me this year was moving into our house, and so many things along the way derailed that. Amongst those things was conceiving my daughter. That was not on my bingo card. That was not on my list this year at all, but it's perfect timing, and I'm so grateful. She has gently made me sit down, slow down, listen to myself, really look inside and reflect on who I am as a woman, the kind of role model that I want to be for her. That is one of those blessings that you don't plan for, and it was supposed to happen that way. And so I just want us to take this time to reflect. I want this to be a good exhale video and a good reminder video of how to handle these moments where you're not quite where you want to be, but you are not where you were, and to truly acknowledge that, pat yourself on the back, to celebrate, to recognize the blessings in that. But also, I just want to give you a few tools to get through that, because I find as we come to the end of the year, especially the new year, a lot of people use that as a benchmark of, you know, what they've accomplished and what they still have to do and what they didn't accomplish. I know so many of you watching are going to do that while I am gone, so I need to leave you with something to fall back on, okay? So I need you to come back to this video, and I need you to ask yourself these questions as I drop these tips, and check in with yourself. You've probably done way more than you're giving yourself credit for. With that topic in mind, the card that I pulled from my I'm Listening Self-Love Edition deck is what has been my most profound lesson this year. Reflecting on what the year has taught you can make sense of the rough moments and can also prevent you from repeating the same lessons year after year. And so my goal in sharing all the things that I'm going through and sharing my experiences and what I've grown through is to show you that the goal is not perfectionism. The sooner that we can grasp that the journey is this curvy, loopy line and not this straightforward, okay, I hit this goal, and so now I'm gonna hit this goal, and now I'm here, and I'll never go back to feeling like this. That's not the journey. And my therapist had to remind me that I'm not aiming for perfection. She had to keep reminding me of all the things I had accomplished, because my perfectionism had me focused on the things that I set out to do that were not coming to fruition. As soon as she said that, and I stopped and I looked at all I did accomplish and all the good things that did come about that I didn't expect, it changed my perspective immediately. She reminded me that the goal is not perfection, it's progress. It is taking one small step and celebrating, and then another small win and celebrating, and continuing to celebrate the small wins, the getting up at a certain time, the following through with your word, filing the paper for the business, ending that relationship, having that uncomfortable conversation, celebrating those little things that we often overlook because we are looking for the big major thing, the big major change, when honestly 90% of life are those small steps. Now this journey can be extremely extremely daunting when you don't have a support group, when you are the first or the only in your friends group or your family to be going after something. When you don't have direct examples of what this process looks like, when you've never seen someone make it out or seen someone have a healthy relationship, own a successful business, go to school and graduate, when you've never seen the things that you are going for, as soon as you hit a little snag, it can feel like this is not meant for me. It can feel like you're doing something wrong. Why don't I just settle? Don't lean back on familiar pain just because you recognize it. I would rather feel the pain of building something new, taking steps towards what I know I deserve and what I know I truly want. I would rather feel the pain of growth than to feel the pain of never going after it or the pain of staying in the same place. And outside of my husband, who is also a creative, so we really understood each other on this level, but even when I got to certain points of things that I wanted that he was like, okay, and he couldn't really see, my companion was my therapist. When I felt like I wasn't enough, when I felt like I hadn't done enough, she would constantly remind me of my resilience, of my strength. Our BetterHelp family is once again a sponsor on this video, and they're committed to seeing each and every one of us thriving and getting the support that we deserve. By now, you know that BetterHelp played a pivotal part in my own healing journey, and I'm really hoping that they do the same for you. When I was searching for my therapist on BetterHelp, I filled out a quiz. I was very, very specific, and within a couple days, I was matched with a list of female therapists that matched what I asked for. Now, as I always say, finding a therapist is like kissing frogs. In the traditional search, you'd have to look around for another therapist at another practice and start calling around, whereas on BetterHelp, once you're matched with someone, if they're not a good fit, you can easily switch to another therapist until you find the person for you. All therapists on the site are qualified, and customer service is available if you have any questions along the way. Now, whether you're just starting out or you just need some reassurance at this part of your journey and you feel like you can benefit from a therapy session, click the link below in my description, or you can just go to betterhelp.com/TiffanyTV and you'll receive 10% off your first month of therapy. I am sending up all the good wishes that you find your person, because finding a good therapist is chef's kiss. If you are truly living and growing and starting a family or going after a dream or starting a new business or a new relationship, whenever you are growing into a new person, whenever you are answering the call, whatever the call may be for you, you have to grow into that. And that season of growth is very uncomfortable. I try to reiterate this all the time, that if you are asking for more, with any change comes something new. It comes an uncomfortable period of growth, of learning, of mastering that thing, of letting go of things that cannot go with you. And so honoring that and just saying, this is going to be a little bit uncomfortable and it may take a little longer than I expect. But if I stay the course, and I continue to follow what I'm being led to do, I'm going to get there. That is the goal. What can feel like a major setback, I'm going to go ahead and say is always a part of the journey. There's something you needed to learn. There's something you needed to pay attention to. I feel like this is one of those things that have been said so often that people are kind of numb to it. Trust the process. Respect the process. Enjoy the process. And that's so much easier said than done, because the process can be so daunting. It can be days, weeks, months, years of not seeing the progress that you want to see after putting in a lot of work and a lot of your time. But what I hope that you do see in yourself in that time is growth. If you don't look at yourself and see that you've grown in the weeks, months, or years that you've been doing this work, if you haven't mastered something, if you haven't gained new skills and tools to move on with, then are you really doing the work and are you really putting in the time? My biggest lesson right now is to master what I did not master before when I was going after my dreams. I was spinning out of control. I was really just throwing things at the wall and seeing what worked. I didn't really have a strategy. I cannot say that I mastered, like I really took the time to master my process, to make my process smooth, to have a thing that I do repeatedly, to really have a schedule that I stick to. I at least wasn't doing it in the way that I know I could have been doing it. And I've been a lot more organized now, but when I was doing this years ago, it wasn't that. I wasn't finding the time to sit down and really plan out my videos. I wasn't finding the time to sit down and plan out my content and what did it mean. My goal right now is for me to master the career that I say I want. Be as good as I can so that I know I'm putting it all in. I know this time has not been for nothing. I've gained wisdom. I've gained knowledge. I'm leaving here with something. I'm not doing all of this for nothing. I need to learn something. I need to be a better woman coming out of this. The fruit that comes from truly setting that foundation and watering that tree, letting it grow, the fruit that comes from that is going to be a plus. You know, the monetary growth and the opportunities that it brings, it'll be a plus. but I'm really focusing on mastering myself. Are you focused on what's happening during the process? Truly being reliable, showing up when you said you would. Are you honestly doing everything in your power right now to make your dreams come to fruition? And I spent years not doing that. I spent years waiting for the opportunities and waiting for my income to rise and asking for more and more opportunities and never really sitting down and taking the time to master myself, master my finances. That is why the process is important, because it takes time for you to become the person to receive the things that you want to receive. And when you try to skip over that process, or when you're just like, let me get this done, you are not honoring the work that you're putting in. You're not honoring your time. Whatever you're going after, you are putting time in. Anything that is worth having, you have to put time into. A relationship, you got to get to know the person. You got to date. You got to spend quality time. A business, my God, it's a baby. It is a child. You have to grow it from birth. You are everything at one point. Being a mom, it's work. Especially as a mom, I'm learning this too. If you're constantly waiting on the next phase, this phase to be over. I want newborn phase to be over. I want to sleep again. Okay, he's sleeping now as a toddler. We did sleep training, so he was sleeping. I want the tantrums to be over. If you're always skipping over the process, you are never learning. Being a mom has taught me patience like nothing else could have ever done in my life, because I want to be the best mom. This is a job that is my job forever. And so I got to get it right. I got to do it. And I know who I want to be. So I have to pay attention to the sleepless nights and the irritability and the tantrums and how my patience is tested each time. And I actually want to get better. So if I stop rushing this process and if I actually look at those tantrums and in that moment test myself to be better than I was yesterday, to react differently than I reacted yesterday. In that relationship, if I test myself to speak up when I normally would be quiet, or to check myself when I normally have too much to say, when I'm being too harsh, the process is, it's the whole point. So get to a point in your mind, and easier said than done, because we want the thing. We do. But you don't want the thing to be fleeting. And the thing will be fleeting if you are not ready for it, or if you are not ready to maintain it. If you have not become the person that can keep something like that. Yeah, you can get the check. You can get the raise. You can get the bonus. But if you're not the responsible person that knows what to do with it, if you are not content in yourself and you are still trying to fill voids with money or with attention, if you have not healed those things inside of you that may be making your relationships toxic, that may be having you attract toxic people, if you are not doing the work along the way, you can get to that end point, but I promise you won't be happy, and I promise you won't be able to keep it. Slow down and respect this process and understand that the process and the journey is building you into that person that you need to be to get to where you want to be. So my second tip here is going to be acknowledge and challenge your limiting beliefs. Those voices that keep popping up that say you can't do it, you're not good enough, thoughts that keep popping up, the negative thoughts. When the negative thoughts outweigh the positive thoughts, then you are creating a life that is more aligned with these negative thoughts. And when I say negative thoughts, all the things that you don't want. I'm adamant about not creating an environment of just be positive. Be positive all the time. No. When I say positive thinking, I mean think about the things that you want to come to fruition. Think about the things that you are working towards more than you think about all the things that can go wrong or the things that are going wrong. Where attention goes, energy flows. So if you are constantly thinking about all the things that are going wrong, if you are constantly talking down on yourself, if you are only doing like an hour of pouring into yourself or doing the work and then afterward you're doubting everything, you're doubting the work that you just did, you are picking yourself apart, you don't like the way you look, you don't like the way it looks. I still struggle with limiting beliefs. I still have them pop up. The difference is that I acknowledge that they are there. I hear it, I stop it in its tracks, and I challenge it. And I try to turn it around to think about and to focus on, okay, what is my solution? And what do I want to come about? I know this is here right now, but what can I focus on and what can I do right now in this moment? Am I doing everything that I said I would do? And so piggybacking off of like picking yourself apart, so scrolling on social media can really get you lost. I seen someone say the other day that they don't have the perfect environment to be creating, and that is because it has absolutely become a trend to have a perfectly aesthetically pleasing environment, right? It's become a trend though. What I want to say to that is if that is a part of your limiting belief, is that your space needs to look exactly a certain way, your content needs to be clean and pristine, and it needs to be crisp, and it needs to look like this, that's not true, unless that is what you want. The person that I seen sharing this did not seem to be impressed with the aesthetics and the perfectly pristine setup. It seemed more like a jab at this type of environment. Here's my thing. Anybody who knows me and who has known me my entire life has known I am a aesthetic girl. When I lock in on something, a theme, a color, that's who I am. I'm the person that loves a color theme. My whole wedding was ivory, and I've been that way. My home has always been neutrals. I've just grown in design aesthetic. Thank you, Chip and Joe. That has been me my whole life. So this is natural to me. Be who you are. A huge limiting belief is any belief that comes from someone outside of you. Anything that you have taken on that's not you, that you are trying to become or that you feel you need to be in order to succeed, is a limiting belief. It is false. It is not true. Be who you are and bring quality. Bring quality content. Bring quality to whatever you're doing. You don't have to look like anyone. You don't have to have a certain body type. You don't have to have that. Mastering what makes you unique. Mastering what lights your soul on fire. And focusing on that. That is when I feel the most connected to people. There's so many people I follow that literally just pick up their phone and are in their element wherever they are. They just took their wig off. They just took their hair out of a bun. But they are authentic and they are speaking their truth and they are being themselves. And that is what makes me attracted to that content, because it's true. It's authentic to them. I'm saying all that to say these things that we latch onto as beliefs for ourselves and what we can and cannot do based on these very limited beliefs, they're not true. But the first thing you have to do is acknowledge that they're there, and then you want to challenge them. Now, limiting beliefs and self-sabotage go hand in hand. So right here, I'm going to tag my self-sabotage video because that was one of my favorite. I feel like it got in there. It got people together. All right. It got me together. I still listen to it. I still have to go back to it every so often because that self-sabotage tries to creep up, especially when you're trying to hit another level. So please watch that video. Also, this thing that happens to us, and I don't know exactly what he called it in the book, but basically it's like your happy ceiling. I've talked about this before. You reach the highest amount of happiness that you've ever reached in your life. And then when you get past that, it's uncomfortable for your body. And so a lot of times you'll do something subconsciously to sabotage that moment and to bring yourself back down to a level of happy comfort. You ever just feel too happy? Everything's going too well. And your brain either starts thinking about something negative or you're looking around and you're kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. That is your happy ceiling. You have now reached a level of happiness that your body's uncomfortable with. And we don't think these things are true. We think the more good, the better. But unknown is unknown. Unknown is uncomfortable. Unknown is unpredictable. And our body likes comfort and predictability. And so anything outside of that, whether it be too bad or too good, is a threat. And until we get control of that, until we learn to stop and be like, no, this is good and I'm going to sit in it and I'm going to learn this new level of happiness and I'm going to enjoy it. I've started to do that, just like smile and be happy, and I'll literally sit in it and feel it for as long as I can. But it's because I acknowledge it. I hear that voice trying to make this moment bad and I challenge it. I challenge you to do that as well. Now, the book that I first read that introduced that to me was called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. But the book that I'm currently reading, The Mountain Is You by Brianna Wiest. It's been on my reading list for a long time and I kept putting it off because I had so many others in front of it. For some reason, it just kept popping up in the last few weeks, so I got it on Audible. It also talked about the happy ceiling and referenced The Big Leap, but it is a delicious and easy read. And when I say delicious, it is just like speaking to exactly all the things we are going through. I mean, verbatim. And helping you and giving you tools to work through them. So this is the book that I'm going to recommend for self-sabotage. I think I may be like about halfway through it, and the things that she spoke on already and how much I have learned already or taken away from it, or even just that reassurance. Sometimes you know the thing, but just to hear it and to hear ways to get through it, really, really, really good. Right here, I'll tag my books that changed my life video, because those books on that list, I went into more detail why I loved each book. I would definitely add The Mountain Is You if I were to redo this video. Now for this next tip, I just want to remind you that you are choosing to do what most people actively choose not to do. We see people all the time that are deciding this is where they are going to stay. And you are trying to do something you've never seen. You are choosing to be intentional with your life. And I'm sure you can think of someone right now that is either currently living and not growing and choosing to stay exactly where they are. Or you can think of someone who has lived and already left this earth without fulfilling 10% of their potential. And that's not you. I know that because you're here and you're watching this video. And there's a part of you that wants to be in a different space. And so I know that you are intentionally choosing to be a little bit better than you were yesterday, to be a little bit better than you were 10 minutes ago. And that is a choice that not everybody makes. So you should be really, really proud of yourself. And I mean, I get why those people stay where they are, because in the moment, it feels like it's safer to stay at the job that doesn't really make you happy and have stable income. It's safer to not go after the unknown because you don't know what's going to happen. It's very uncertain and it's scary. And in the short term, it feels a little bit safer. I live for thinking about the future. I close my eyes, and the thing I imagine is being a grandma. That's really what I imagine. I imagine being a grandma, and I imagine my family gathering. I imagine my kids and my grandkids and, God willing, great grandkids coming together. And I imagine the warm environment that I have created for them. The love and patience and health and healthy emotions that I have poured into them. The confidence that I have poured into them, the kindness that I have poured into them, and to see what we are now and to feel that, to know that the work that I'm doing today is what created that. I imagine just this healthy, emotionally healthy, happy, and successful family on whatever terms that means. And I know that it takes me doing the work now. And that's what matters to me, is the long term. I'm willing to sacrifice the comfortability now for the long term and what I absolutely have to have happen for my family. So this is just a reminder that the changes that you are making today, I know it's hard. It is hard because you haven't seen it. But the changes that you are making today in your career, in your mind, in your heart, as you sit in therapy, as you journal, as you meditate, as you cry, cathartic cry, and let these things go, as you forgive, as you do better than you saw, as you raise these kids, as you build healthy marriages, relationships, friendships. Remember that you are not just doing it for you. It may feel like that right now. It may feel like you're lonely. It may feel like you're doing it alone. It may feel like nobody is supporting you. There's somebody who's watching. There's somebody who's like, I wish I could. And God willing, that'll turn into a, maybe I can. I remember the first time that some of my little cousins said things to me like I was their role model or they were looking up to me. And this was at a time where I was so tunnel visioned and feeling like just everybody was misunderstanding me. And I was in that isolation period. I couldn't even see the impact that I was making. But to hear my brother and my sister and my little cousins constantly say that the example that I'm setting is shaping the way that they are going after their dreams, it lights the fire. Right? It makes it all worth it. And so you may not have the people saying the things yet. And you may still be in the stage of they're just watching to see if you can actually get there. But you can't worry about that. You keep focused. It goes from them being skeptical to them being judgmental to teasing you. And then it gets quiet. And then it becomes, I'm so proud of you. Keep going on your journey. Focus on whatever it is that you want to do. Focus on that more than you focus on the obstacles and the people not supporting you, the intrusive thoughts and the limiting beliefs. Challenge those intrusive thoughts and challenge those limiting beliefs. And if these videos alone are not allowing you to break through and to get to the other side and to see things a different way and to begin to operate and move through this world in a different way, therapy. You don't have to do this by yourself. You really don't. But just remember to acknowledge that you are doing something that is extremely hard and you're doing it and you can do it even when it feels like no one around you gets you. They don't have to. It's not their vision. It is yours. It is yours. It is yours. You were tasked with this. You were given this gift or this idea or this thought. And no matter how small you think it is, you don't know how big it will be to the world for you to achieve this thing. So keep going. And don't be so down on yourself for what you don't accomplish. It does not mean you can't accomplish it tomorrow or next week or next month or next year. And if nobody believes in you, I believe in you. And everybody in these comments and everybody watching this video believes in you. This year has been one of the most intense years of my life, unexpectedly. I've learned so much about myself. I have worked on so much within myself. I've come to so many realizations and had a level of clarity that I haven't ever had. It's been a great year, and I've done my best to bottle all of my lessons up and give them to you. And so I hope that in the 10 episodes this season, if one of you have walked away with something that you're able to apply and it changed the way you look at life, the way you move through life, the way your relationships are going, or your career, or whatever it is that you're here for, that makes me happier than I can put into words. I'm grateful that I get to do this as a job, and I hope that when you hit those hard moments that you don't doubt that it's real and that it's possible. I hope that you find the strength to get back to one of these videos. You find the strength to apply something we've talked about, whether it be, finding your good workout or meditating, journaling, cathartic crying, therapy, whatever it is you've taken from these lessons, and apply it and keep going until you feel good again. Even as the person sitting here and giving you this advice, I have days where I wake up and I'm just like, what am I doing all this for? It is so hard. It is so difficult. It just feels like I am just on this uphill battle. But I've learned to just be like, This is a day. It's just a moment, and I'm gonna feel good again. There's no way I felt that good and I'm not gonna feel good again. It's just a day. And I do my best to turn it around. My music, my sage, I'll meditate, I'll go spend time with my loved ones, whatever I need to do to clear my space and to create good energy around me. And then guess what happens? I eat a good meal, I laugh at a show, I have a good convo with my husband, and then all of a sudden I'm like, the day is not that bad. It's a lot better just within 30 minutes or an hour. And sometimes it's 10 minutes. Sometimes it happens quickly. Sometimes it takes a day. Sometimes I need a day. And then I wake up the next morning and it just doesn't feel as heavy. So get through the day. Get through the moment. Allow yourself to feel what you feel, but just don't go backward. And don't start doubting your process. We are human. We are going to have these ups and downs. And that's okay. But don't give up on yourself. If we keep showing up and we keep doing the work, it won't be as hard every time it comes around. Because you're going to get stronger and stronger. It is bittersweet, but it is time for me to go relax. It is time for me to truly prepare my mind, my body, my space for my baby girl to arrive. I will still be active on TikTok and Instagram with little things that I can share from my phone, but no big productions. I'm trying to keep my word this time and just chill and relax and go with the flow. I hope you love this video. I hope that you guys have an amazing holiday season and that you head into the new year with all the love and all the confidence that you can muster up to create a beautiful 2025. Make sure that you hit that thumbs up. Make sure that you subscribe and you turn on your notifications so you don't miss any new uploads when I get back. And until next time, keep living in love, in light, and in your truth. Bye, guys. Monday, tune in on Tuesday, tune in on